Hello. Hello. If you've ever heard someone say ADHD is just bad parenting or what those children need is some good discipline, then here's why you need to think again. Because the fact is, the ADHD brain is so different that stimulants actually have the opposite effect on the brain chemistry. I'm Zoe. I'm Autistic Nana. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm talking about ADHD. ADHD brains have a low baseline of dopamine and norepinephrine. These two transmitters control attention, motivation, the ability to start and finish tasks, emotional regulation, and impulse control. In ADHD, levels are too low in the frontal cortex. This area manages executive function. So if you've ever heard someone say, I have an executive dysfunction, this is what they're talking about. This also can affect autistic people, and especially autistic and ADHD people like me. So when dopamine and norepinephrine are too low, the brain struggles to focus on one thing. It struggles to filter all the noises out, and it struggles to choose priorities. It struggles to allow you to stay still, and it struggles to let you complete tasks. Now, the brain will go searching for stimulation to compensate for this fact. And this is when it looks like the person is fidgeting, it looks like their mind is wandering, they're being impulsive, and also this is when they hyperfocus on really interesting things. So, if you give someone with an ADHD brain a stimulant, you would think logically that is mad. If their brain is already fidgeting, wandering, going crazy, why on earth would you give them a stimulant? But this is where the science comes in. An ADHD brain is not bad parenting or a lack of discipline. It is an actual fact. And if you give a stimulant to someone with an ADHD brain, actually has a calming effect. Stimulants increase the right chemicals in the right part of the brain. They do this by slowing down the reuptake of dopamine. In an ADHD brain, there is a lack of dopamine. So if you slow down its reuptake, you actually make more dopamine available for longer. This helps the brain to release dopamine in a more controlled way and stabilizes the whole system. With enough dopamine, the brain stops seeking stimulation, and that in effect means that the person will stay calmer. You can improve the brain's executive functioning. So if you think of it like turning on the lights in the control room, you are putting someone back in charge, and the result is that the mind can stop racing, impulses can slow down, focus sharpens, and you can choose what you want to pay attention to instead of just getting your brain dragged around, being distracted by everything and anything. It can feel like your brain is suddenly calm or even peaceful. ADHD hyperactivity is often internal and not external. So many adults have actually learned to cover up their fidgeting and their hyperactivity physically, but they have a mental inner monologue or emotional surges. They can still daydream, jump around from tasks, be restless, be sensitive to sounds, and be overwhelmed by everything. Stimulants bring the internal peace and they calm the brain down to a manageable level. So a stimulant does not overstimulate an ADHD brain. If you give stimulants to someone without ADHD, you're looking at anxiety, jitters, a fast heart rate. But in ADHD, they often produce the opposite effect because they are filling a deficit. So it's like caffeine helping someone with a headache, when in other people it'll worsen a headache. It's like glasses helping someone to see, whereas if you put my glasses on someone that had perfect eyesight, they would in fact have really bad eyesight. So stimulants help regulate the default mode network. People with ADHD often get stuck in the deficit mode network, the part of the brain that daydreams, ruminates, distracts, jumps around mentally. Stimulants help focus, attention, and organization. In short, ADHD brains run on underpowered executive function, so the brain tries to stimulate itself. Stimulants supply the missing dopamine, norepinephrine, giving the brain enough power to run smoothly. This makes an ADHD brain calmer, more focused, less overwhelmed, less impulsive, and more in control. So if you still think that ADHD is just bad parenting, try and think again and look at the facts. If you can give a stimulant to someone that will actually calm them down, then I think that just goes to show that there is actually something different about their brain chemistry, and it is not something that just needs discipline. Please bear in mind, I am just a person that likes to look things up and learn. I have not chosen to take ADHD medication because I also have an autistic brain. And I think it's quite well documented by now that drugs do not always have the predicted effect on an autistic brain. And therefore, I decided that being autistic and ADHD, the effect of a stimulant on my brain might be unpredictable, and therefore I wasn't going to do it. Stimulants do not help all ADHD brains. They help some people. If you want to try a stimulant, if you want to try a stimulant on your ADHD brain, you need to consult with your doctor or psychiatrist to see what they think. And this often involves a titration period where you will get put on a drug, you will have to give reports back and tell them how it's affected you. You have to watch out for side effects, and it will be under very controlled circumstances. So I am not saying rush out, get some kind of stimulant, any kind of stimulant. I'm definitely not saying that. Please don't go out and try to medicate yourself. But the point of my video is the ADHD brain is so different that stimulants can help to calm it down, which seems counterintuitive, but it is because there is a physical difference in an ADHD brain that needs treating differently. So please, I am not a doctor. I'm not telling you to take stimulants of any kind. I am just explaining to you how the brain is different, and that ADHD is an actual difference in the brain chemistry and the brain wiring, and not a figment of people's imagination when they can't control their children. It is an actual thing that chemicals and stimulants can actually help compensate for. I hope you found this interesting. If you have, please give it a like. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.